So for this video, this is how I am going to start the class. And pretty much I am going to show you this existing ground, and I'm going to have you identify the low points, the high points, the valleys, the ridges, and I want you to delineate where exactly water is draining towards. And I think this is a good exercise because that allows you to understand the topography to the extent that you need to understand it for you to prepare and plan whenever you start grading developments. Knowing topography really is going to help you prevent terrible design, because I've seen a lot of people who just start grading without really trying to understand what's out there already and having things that are out there work in your favor rather than go against it. So for example, if I recognize that there's two high points here, I'm not going to have a road come here diving down and coming back up and forming a U. Rather, I'm going to have a road create a crest and go above the ground, because what we try to do when we're first doing our iterations of grading is we try to mimic the existing ground as much as we can. Because one, that helps out with balancing, meaning the less I buck grade and the more I work with the current grade, the less I'm going to have to either export or import dirt. Importing and exporting dirt is incredibly expensive and is one of our biggest challenges that we have, especially here in Georgia, where everything is just a bunch of hills. But it can be done, and it is done all the time if you are good at grading and you create good design. Understanding the existing topography also allows me to dictate where the ponds are going to be and really to recognize, do we have any off-site water coming in? That's another big problem that I see, is that a lot of engineers do not account for off-site water. So you design your ponds to what is inside the property line, and then later on you realize, wait, there's outside water coming into our site and we have to capture it and we have to route it to our pond. Next thing you know, your ponds are too small. You have to double the size of your ponds, and that means you're going to lose houses. And when you lose houses, you're costing the client money. Why? Because you didn't anticipate these errors beforehand. And there are plenty of mistakes that you're not going to anticipate. What we're trying to do here is to teach you how to catch as many as we can, so the common stuff that you see is not missed. There's always going to be, not always, but most of the time, there will be offsite water. Most of the time, you're going to want to go along with the existing grade, so you don't have to cut into a mountain. Rather, you're trying to follow that mountain. And these are general tips that I know, that a lot of people know, in order to ensure a good design. And for this exercise, I think it's a great opportunity for people who do not have a lot of experience with topography to go ahead and develop this intuitive sense of, okay, I see this and it's not a jumble mess. I can actually follow it and I can actually visualize what the site looks like. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. The first thing that I'm going to do is identify my high points. And for that, I just draw circles. Right here is 375. I circle it. The reason why I can tell right away it's a high point is that it is a contour that has no contours inside of it. This is the top of a mountain, and this is going downhill, downhill, downhill. And here's another top. Just think about your God for just a little bit, and you're seeing it from this view, and you can tell, okay, yeah, this is the top, this is the top, and it's all draining this way, draining that way, draining that way. But you're not sure, is it draining this way? Is it coming down this way? So the best thing to do is to circle the high points and start identifying those, because that's going to allow us to connect the dots a little bit later, and we will draw out the ridge line. I see another one that is Where I see one right here, possibly a high point. I see another high point here. Two high points there. I see a group of high points right here. I see one here. I'm also going outside the property line because I want to see a complete picture. And again, what I said earlier, you might have some offsite water draining towards the site that you might need to capture. And either you're going to reroute that water to continue off-site, or you have to route it to your stormwater pond. Another one that I see is right here. And that should do it. I mean, I see these tiny little ones right here, but what I'm really trying to identify are the ones that have another contour around it, with just one contour inside of it. And then you see another one wrapping around that has two. That tells me this is the very top right here. That water is going to flow in all directions. These, on the other hand, this is 377, 377, 376. That really is not, these high points are not influencing where the water is going to drain. They might change it a little bit, but for this exercise, we can consider it as negligible. The next thing I'm going to do is identify the ridge lines. Now, I didn't know what the hell a ridge line was, and I don't think I really knew until I was 6 months in, because I didn't really have a word for it. I would just recognize that the contours were the same contour was facing each other. And what I mean by that is that this contour is 373 and is facing itself. There you go, that's better worded. The contour is facing itself. That's what I meant. And right here is 373. This tells me it's a little high point right here. Right? So water is either going to drain this way or it's going to drain this way. So I have a nice little picture to show you. This is very elementary school, but it does the job. You have a high point, you have another high point, and here's the ridge line connecting the two high points, right? Even though these 2 points are higher than this one, and it's not a true high point, water is still gonna flow downhill. Oh, here's another high point that I missed. So I'm going to start just tracing this ridge line and following. Either it's going to look like this, where the contours faces itself. And right here, the contour is still facing itself, but it doesn't have that distinctive, I don't know what to call this, but it has like this weird shape to it, right? This one is just a U that's pointing away from the high point. And that is also a ridge line. And you can see here that this is another U that is pointing away from the ridge line. And here is our funky little shape. And it's going to connect to this high point. You also have this high point. And this high point, because I just see this is, again, the same thing. This is the U that's pointing away from the high point. And I am going to meet it right there. And this is technically, it's going to go like this if I want it to be precise. Let's see if we can find any other ones. This one, I recognize the shape, but you have to be careful. We recognize the shape is either, and this shape too, this contour by itself, no contour inside of it, or the reverse U. You see this reverse U is either going to be a high point or a low point. So I'm looking at this 363, 363, and I float, look, 362.73. This is actually a low point, and this is a high point. And over here is a high point too. This is a big ridge line that's being formed here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. And I think, yes, it continues here, and we're connecting the high points. But as you can see, that water is draining all the way down here, and there's a localized high point here that's pushing water to go down this way. So the way I see this is I'm meeting this, and I'm going to follow the reverse U. And you can see right here what I'm doing. Now I'm going perpendicular to the contour, because water always flows perpendicular, and I'm just trying to reach this ridge line right here. So what I'm saying here is that if water lands right here, it's going to flow, and go down to this valley here. I haven't talked about valleys just yet. I will in a moment. But let's use this example. Water is going to flow like this, and I'm going to change the layer or the color just to show you that this is the water drop. Let's say it's raining and water's flowing, and it's going to hit this high point right here. It's going to hit this low point. Water is going to go this way and continue on this valley. But if it hits this side right here and water is flowing perpendicular to the contour, maybe I didn't pick the best place to drop that. I did not. But, this water drop is going to go to this valley right here. And what I'm trying to say is that water lands right here and it's going to go this way. But if water lands right here, it's going to go that way. So before I get ahead of myself, I just want to make sure that the reason why I drew this ridge line right here is because this water is going to flow perpendicular. So it's going to hit that way. It's going to hit that way. It's going to hit that way, right? That's why I drew it here. And this water is going to flow perpendicular. And it can go either way. But as long as I am at least capturing most of it, and when I say most of it, 99% of it, then I'm good. I don't have to be perfect. I just need the drainage areas to be 95% right. So then I'm going to come here and try to find this other ridge line right here. And I'm seeing that, it's not an easy exercise because I'm still relying on okay, I need to hover 63. This is a low point. It's a low point here. This is draining. This is 65. Wait. Oh, so this is draining that way. So this honestly might be a low point. 65, 64. No, so this is 62, 63. So this is the low point here. Yeah, then this is going to be 62. So, okay, all of this water is draining over here. And then I see another ridge line. And I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure this out with you as I go along. Maybe I should have done it beforehand so I don't have to think as much, but okay. But anyways, I think this captures it. I'm looking over it. I'm making sure I don't miss any ridge lines. And I don't have to connect the high point. I just have, again, to connect to the ridge line. Yeah, that looks good to me. So the next step that I'm going to take, and what I want you to take in the class, if you were to do this exercise with me, I'm going to identify the valleys. And the valleys are just where the water is converging at. So if it's raining and water's landing here, water's going to drain towards this low point and then channel through and go all the way down to the overall low point. So we're trying to identify where the water is converging at. And the best way to do that is, remember again, water is going to flow perpendicular. So I'm looking for the U's that are pointing to the high points. And the way I see one right here. And again, water's going this way. Matter of fact, let me just change this to this color. Water's going this way, right? Water's going this way. Water is going this way, and then hitting this U. And then it's going to flow and then converge and spit out right here. So let's go ahead and trace those valleys. I see this valley starting here and coming here. And again, just spitting out right here. Boom. Another one that I see right away is this one. You can kind of see it's coming here. So let's go follow it. And again, if you want this to be like, wow, you're just trying to get this nailed, perfection, make sure this line that you're drawing is perpendicular to the contours. I'm just trying to illustrate what we're going to do in class, but in class, I'm going to ask for a little more detail for you to show your work and show your rationale, and also understand that the water is going to flow perpendicular to contour. So I definitely want to see that in your work. But I'm just trying to do this really quick. And maybe after, you're a professional, you just got to do this real quick and you're just trying to get something on paper. Maybe you'll do it this way. But for training exercises, I am expecting a little bit better. But again, I'm just identifying the U's that are converging to a midpoint and for it to channel out. I see another one here. It's kind of two that are connecting together. There you go. I see a tiny one here. I am going to ignore the tiny ones for now. I just want to capture the big fat ones that are really influencing the topography. And here's another one. It's flowing. This kind of stops right here. Did I miss any? Yeah. This one right here. Boom. So the next step that I want right here, if I stop here, it's really not going to tell me anything. What I want to identify is, okay, I know where the water wants to drain. Right? We've hit it here. It's draining here. It's draining here. It's draining here and here. These are my low points, but what is different about these low points is they converge. It's one single low point. So for example, if I'm doing erosion control for this, and I have either the option of putting a silt fence or a pond, I know at this location I have to put a pond. And here I have to probably put a pond. And here I put a pond. And everywhere else I can put silt fence. Because if I try to put silt fence here, and this is what it looks like let me pull it up real quick. Okay, yeah, this is what it looks like. This is a lot of water that's going to come in. And maybe I got ahead of myself. Let me just go ahead and delineate this so you can see how much water is draining towards this low point. So I'm going to come here at the property line and I'm going to change the color so we are consistent. And right here, I'm starting at this point right here, just a little bit outside of it. And I'm just going to trace, again, just go perpendicular to the contours. And then try to find this ridge line. So this is this ridge line right here that is going to connect to my high point. As you can see, this is a reverse U. It's pointing away from the high point. And that indicates that water is splitting at this point. Now I can do the same thing here. I'm just starting at the property line, getting close to it, and then I'm going perpendicular. And here is a local high point. But again, here's that ridge line that I'm talking about. And maybe that should have been identified earlier, but see, I'm still capturing it later on. It's not a big deal. I just want enough of the points and the ridge lines pointed out for me to start doing this process. Now you can see that all of this area is draining towards this low point right here. In this area, if I were to combine it all, let's see if I can do a quick, let me see, let me make sure that they're touching. I have to select and then previous. Okay. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm nice. This area right here is almost 2 acres. So you have 2 acres pointing towards this low point right here. Imagine putting this little fence trying to stop all that water coming in at one point. It's going to blow out. So you can't install silt fence. What you're going to have to do is install an SD3, which are sediment traps. Really, we call them ponds. They're temporary ponds. And they can handle a lot. They can handle, it kind of looks like this. This is the top of berm. It collects water. It filters it out, and then it outfalls. You can see right here, water pools, the sediment settles. Here's the outfall, and it spits it out. Here's the top of berm. And the other option that you have, this is for pretty big drainage areas. You have this option, which is, I mean, I've heard contractors call this a hole on the ground. And sure, I mean, technically that's right, but I hope that you understand the importance of that hole on the ground, right? That it's not any kind of bullshit. It's actually something that we need so the erosion doesn't impact the adjacent properties. And this one can collect up to 5 acres. So we can actually put an SD. Is that really just 2 acres? Maybe I did my math wrong. Where's that B poly at? Hold on. We can type in oops, and you can get things that you deleted back. Oh, no, that was way off. I'm sorry, I misread that. It's not 79,000, it's 794,000, which is 18 acres. Definitely not putting a hole on the ground to capture that much water. You need a really big pond, actually. So then I'm going to come here and do the same thing. And actually, this is going to drain. And it's going to go like this. This is a low point. So what I can do, I can start from here and then follow the contours perpendicularly, if that's a word. And then it's going to connect to this ridge line right here. And then I just kind of see this going like this. And then it's going to follow this. And it's going to meet this high point. And it's going to meet this high point. And here's the ridge line for that high point. And I guess it's going to be something like that. I think no, sorry. Here's the ridge line for it. Yep, that's right. And it's going to connect. We're right there. But as you can see, this really, let's see, what is this doing? This is 350, 349, 347. Really, this is gonna 48, 49. This is a weird one. This is a weird one. This is gonna go like this. Okay. This is 47, 46, 45. So actually this is wrong. Is this a high point? Like I'm doubting everything. I need to label this. I need to stop. But Okay, so this is 49, and this is 48. This is 50. So really, it goes something like that. Because this is 49, 48. I'm figuring this out with you guys. 49. I really should label this damn thing. It's kind of tricky, but this is definitely a high point. And it's coming down and it's splitting it like this. Oh, I see. Sorry. I see where it went wrong. Tisk, tisk, tisk. There we go. Now I just extended my video. And that is, there you go. That's my fault right there. But now we can see that the property line does a good job of capturing all this. And I'm really curious. This is going to come here. I'm capturing this is going to come this way, and this is going to split off to this low point. So now, but all I'm interested in right now is to see within the property what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. And I see here, I'm starting here. I'm going to go ahead and follow it perpendicular. Coming here, I'm doing the same thing. Connecting the ridge line. This is all coming here. It's all coming there. So to finish this off, because now I feel like I have an obligation to, I'm going to come here and look at this weird contour, but we're going to go ahead and let's see what's happening here. It's going to connect like this somehow. I'm going to go from the high point. Yeah, and then it's going to split here. And then all of this is going to drain here though. So water's going perpendicular, is flowing this way. All of this is flowing towards that point. I think I went wrong over here. I think, okay, so there we go. This is the low point. 62, this is 6.3, 6.3. So it's going to follow this low point right here. But what is a low point though? 61. So I guess it's a low point that is going to split either this way or this way. So here we go. And I'm just hitting the contours perpendicular. And actually, yeah, actually this is good because now we have some water of ours that's flowing off site. And actually this is going to be meeting up to this point right here. There you go. All this is going to flow off site. Very important to put silt fence right here. So now I can see not only where the low points are at, but where they converge and where they sheet flow. So for example, it's not going to drain to one point. Rather, water is just going to sheet flow like this and just go perpendicular and form this nice uniform sheet flow and spread. So the silt fence can easily handle that. I also now have a deep understanding of how the existing topography looks like. So I know, for example, that the pond is going to be over here. My stormwater management permanent pond is going to be at the lowest point of the site. I also understand if, let's say this is my entrance, that the topography is shooting up. So I want my proposed roads to follow that existing ground. And if I'm going to make a right turn or a left turn, those right turn and left turns should be downhill, right? I should be working to gradually go up with the mountain. If I have to make a right turn, I'm going downhill. If I have to make a left turn, I can be flat here because these are where the 3 high points are at, right? And also now I know where to avoid, let's say, putting a lot of houses. I don't want to put a lot of houses over here because this is where water naturally drains towards. And if there's a massive storm, then there's a likelihood of high flooding, and we have to make sure that the houses are protected. And everything is dictated on what's already out there, right? Not only topography, but easements, existing utilities, sewer manhole tie-in, right? But this is an incredibly big component of your planning before you get to design. Because the biggest, I would say, differentiator between a great engineer and a good engineer is the one that can, yes, he's really quick with design, but a lot of people can be quick with design. That really doesn't make you different. It's the planning part, is seeing ahead and having the vision to anticipate errors. And your ability to anticipate error creates the logic of your design too. Right now you can explain, no, the site plan has to be as such because we're following the grade pretty well. We're going to minimize the impacts. We're not going to hit easements, right? If you're trying to grade a site plan that is going against the existing grade, you're going to have a lot of walls, right? And you're going to have a lot of, probably, it's going to make it really difficult to tie into the existing ground. And also you're going to have weird houses. You're going to have a house that is practically on a hill. And the reason why they're not doing that because it's pleasing, well, maybe over here, but let's say you're bucking grade and instead of going downhill, you're going uphill. Now you have a house right here at, if this is 375 and you're going up, if you're going up at 1%, now this house is sitting at 380. 380 minus 355, that's 25 feet. Right? Yeah. And that's 25 feet elevation difference. That's ridiculous. So, and it also, when you're bucking grade, your storm and your sewer, your pipe profiles get all messed up because let's say you have to tie in right here to an existing manhole. That existing manhole is going to be, the top of rim is at 344. And I'm sure the manhole is, or the pipe is 7 feet deep. So 345 minus 7, the invert is at 337. And you got your stupid little house right here at 380. How are you going to go from 380 to 345 on, or this is what, 340 to 3, no, it's at 345 on this relatively short distance, right? And also, when you have that big of a discrepancy between the proposed ground and the existing ground, your manholes are going to get bigger, and that's going to cost more money. So there are a lot of ripple effects of not being able to properly anticipate and understand the errors that might come up. And the only way you can get really good at that is by understanding topography, understanding how the contours are supposed to look like, understanding, okay, this is what is existing out there. This is what we're proposing. What is going to cause the biggest impacts? What are going to cause the biggest problems? Like right away, you can tell the pond is too small. Right away, you can tell that easement is going to really cripple us. And this is the first step. is learning topography. So with that, I'm going to end it.